This is the Nowhere to Go But Up podcast. I'm your host, Sean Dustin. So today I was kind of thinking about some different things and different approaches to trying to get people on the show. And I thought, well, you know what, man? What a better way than to post something in some of these podcast groups that I'm a part of and see if anybody just wants to have a 4 to 6 person check-in. A lot of people are interested in it, but you know, they weren't really expecting to like go right now. And so I actually found one person that was willing to join me tonight, and maybe we may have one more, but for right now we're talking to Kenneth L. That's what your Facebook name is, right?
Yeah, that's from Positive Minds Only podcast.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about where you're at, where you live, how old you are, what your situation is over there, what the climate is over there in your area as far as, mandatory shelter in places, what is it, people going crazy in the grocery stores like they are over in my area. So it's basically just a check-in, man, and so I can, people out there who are listening can kind of relate, because we have a lot of things that are said in the media, but, what a better way to find out by talking to actual people from the country, our country, and seeing what the situation is where they're at. So go ahead and
for sure. So I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I'm 30 years old. I just turned 30 just last week. And it's pretty cool out here compared to every other year since I've been in Vegas. I've only been out here for 2 years, but this has been a cool year as far as weather. It hasn't heated up yet. But as far as like people going crazy, like it's no lockdowns out here. There, of course, the tissue and the grocery store, the water is always, but that's not haven't even been a big problem for me. So out here, it's going great as far as like what you expect from what you hear from the media. There isn't a lot that's much going on. I don't know too much to speak on that, but even from my perspective, from my mindset with the whole deal, I always see these times as like good times. Like no matter what you go through in life, just if you just look at the positive side of it, then you'll be all right. So when I say I see this as a good time, it's not because everybody's passing away or getting sick, but there's something different happening in the world. As far as there's no sports for the first time, like things are stopping. People are staying out, like happen to stay at home and deal with their family instead of working all day, every day. So I feel like this is working out for me for some weird reason. I have the thought or the mindset that this is working out in my favor. And that's how I look at every situation, whether it's negative or a good situation. I always think this is the best thing that's happening. And it's for me, as far as my podcast, I've done more guest appearances in this week than I've done my whole time I've been podcasting. So like I said, it's really looking good for me, and I hope things do go back to normal. I hope we do get sports and things back, but you just have to take advantage of whatever situation you is, no matter what's going on outside or what the media says, because you still have your life, you still have your goals or whatever it is, you still got your family to focus on. And if you stay focusing on what's going on outside, you'll forever be in last place, or you will forever lose, because you're not taking that same time to focus on yourself. So,
yeah, that's a great way to look at it. We have another person here. Katherine, how are you?
I am doing great. Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes.
Yay. Okay, cool. I'm doing great. I'm in Texas, and we are in lockdown or something. I don't know what's going on. I don't pay attention. I do what I want to do all the time. Apparently you can't be in a group more than like 10 people or something, but I'm a social extrovert, and if there's a meeting going on, I'm going to go. If there's today we played poker with like 4 or 5 people. In my carrier, probably, look, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be stuck at home quarantined. And if I'm going to die, I'm going to have a good time going out. Okay. So that's just me. Like, sorry, sorry, not sorry. But I don't really know how many cases are around me. I know that like in San Antonio, they have a curfew, can't be out after a certain time. We don't have a curfew yet, but it's probably going to happen because we're so close to San Antonio. I don't know. I agree with Kenneth. I'm looking at the positive here, material wealth is not that important. It never has been for me. So money, career, power, all that is all a bunch of bullshit anyway. Sorry. I cuss a lot. I'm sorry. I need to censor myself. And so, I'm just like, I'm a spiritual person and I'm just like, whatever happens, happens. And I'm okay with whatever. So that's just me.
Yeah. It's, well, the thing, the concerning thing is that, what kind of lengths are they going to be willing to go to enforce this, and I mean, there's I don't know, man, I'm a conspiracy kind of guy and that's
me too,
and just nothing, the timing of everything is the most important thing of anything, right? When it comes to our government and things that they try to do. I mean, they've already been caught, once for that whole deal where they flooded with the CIA, all the cocaine in the inner cities and everything else. I mean, this is all proven stuff. We're expendable, we're not really that important to them other than the fact that we are a social security number that guarantees them $1 million on our earning potential when they're going to make deals with China for loans and stuff. But I mean, other than that, we're expendable. So I don't really buy everything. I'm definitely I'm wanting to not spread it if possible, but that's only because I have a kid that I go and visit, you know what I mean, on the daily or every other day. So I mean, I got to be careful because I don't want to bring anything, back to them.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a tough one, man. I mean, what do you do? We're in a space that we've never been in before.
Oh, I like how you spoke about the conspiracy theory, because I won't say I'm a conspiracy theorist myself, but I do like pay attention to what's being said. So, my whole thoughts on that are on like just we're a number. I realize that may be true, but as long as you have the will and the power or the mindset to do whatever it is that you want to do and be successful at it, like then you do that, because we would never be able to stop these people. Like no matter how much we stand up and like speak out, in the end, they've been doing this for hundreds and thousands of years. So I had to come to the conclusion, okay, are they stopping me? Are they stopping me from achieving my success? Are they stopping me, or are they trying to mute me? And I said no. So I'm like, well, I guess this life that we live is just a game. It's just a movie. And how you write that movie, you write that script. So however you want it to be or however you want it to turn out, it will turn out that way. So I definitely like your thought process on like what's going on though, because a lot of people they think is really a virus, or it may be really a virus, but they're not aware of what's going on in the background.
Yeah, I mean, there's always something. Misdirection is huge. They always do something to offset something else that they're trying to do. You know what I mean?
But so. You got to realize though, this happens all the time though. So they just taking it to another step this time. So,
yeah, that's the whole thing. Why this one? You know what I mean? There was tons of other ones that were happening, but all of a sudden in 2020, here we are in the craziest.
And remember, there's no one human in control of anything. Okay, so you're talking about conspiracy theories, great. I'm talking about a spiritual level. Like humans are humans. Humans are limited. Okay, we're just people. Okay, a spiritual realm. Okay, like people believe in angels, they don't believe in angels, whatever. I believe in an energy, a universe, and I believe that there's a shift happening that is telling us do not focus so much on material, on money, on career. Focus on what's important: love, family, unity. Like Kenneth said, now people are spending more time with their family. And I mean, the scary part is ending up in some sort of concentration camp or some shit like that, right? That would be like really bad, because even though I believe that spiritual power is taking care of all of this, there are a lot of evil humans, you know. So I just don't want to be under an evil hand. But, you know, all I can do is stay positive and have hope and faith that when I leave this earth, it will not be in pain and in tragedy. That's all. That's me.
That's a good way to look at it.
I definitely agree with Katherine as well, because I'm a very spiritual person, and that's what my podcast is about. I was telling him before we started. Like, I look at it from a spiritual sense. I believe if you believe in reincarnation, well, you know this cycle this is never going to end. Like, when we pass away, we're going to repeat some of these same things. That's why they say nothing is new under the sun, because we all repeat the same thing over and over. So I understand why people are afraid and they're fearful and all the conspiracies, but I'm like, this is always going to happen. But like Katherine, you got to focus on what's the real thing. It's love, it's peace, joy. It's not about how much money you got. It's not about who's the best on the basketball court. It's about you. This is a time to focus on what you need to focus on. The things that's free, but they're the most valuable things ever. Like love, your mind, like your children. Like, these things come free. And we stay focused on the material things that's worthless, but we pay the most money for it, and we never take the time to focus on the free stuff. So,
yeah, that's right. That's right. You got to stay hopeful. Got to stay joyful. Got to stay positive. I mean, at least I'm not stuck in a freaking prison cell. That would be worse. I've been there.
Yeah, I've been there too. So I mean, what are you guys doing to pass the time? Katherine, do you have a podcast as well, or? Absolutely, yeah. Okay. Pink Cloud 9, which is a recovery term. I've been off drugs and alcohol for 3 years, and so we talk a lot about recovery, and we talk a lot about mental health issues. So I'm also bipolar, and we talk a lot about like stress, anxiety. I have a lot of guests on that do. That co-host or that I have one co-host a week, but then there's like guests that come on. And so, but now passing the time, I do a lot of Zoom. I do a lot of guests on other podcasts. I do a lot of live stream, Facebook Live, Instagram Live, basically live streaming. Before this, I was doing stand-up and improvisation comedy for, the career-wise. And like, I'm not able to perform and go to a freaking, club and perform like I was doing. And so I'm like really strapped. Like, so I have this live stuff to kind of give me I'm an attention whore. So I need like people like contact all the time, And so basically I'm addicted to live streaming at this point. I just now saw that because I'm on this dating app called Plenty of Fish, and I just noticed that that's a new live stream that they have on there that I'd never seen before, and it's just like people. I guess you're logging in on watching people just ramble on and talk shit and just be them, be whoever they are. Is that what that is?
Yeah, I mean, they have like so many live stream opportunities. I do mine mostly on Facebook and Instagram, but I can pick one topic and just talk about it for like ever, but I really like to have other people to bounce ideas off of more than just by myself, and then there's a live stream where people are just watching TV or,
I do mine by myself. Like I've done over 50 some episodes and had about 7 guests, but everything else I do it just by myself.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's my podcast is really not for the world. It's like my personal journal. So the things that I talk about is like very personal. So, and I re-listen to my podcast and I'll learn something from myself. So, but over time that I've been doing it, it's been gaining fans and people have been telling me like, oh, this is really impacting my life. So I'm like, I didn't know it was. I mean, I always knew I had the impact. I mean, I had the ability to speak and to influence, but I was always the shy get. Like I'm an introvert as well. So, and I'm the type who seek attention at all. If anything, I want to be in the background. So, I mean, now this current moment, like I said, I'm talking to people like more than I ever talked to. Like this is me stepping out of my comfort zone, and it's working out pretty well for me. Like I can't complain at all.
Yeah, I totally. And so other things that I do, I mean, I'm doing this live stream thing a lot during the day, but I'm also like reading, writing, Netflix, watching movies that I had put on the back burner, listening to other people's podcasts. Really just I'm supposed to be cleaning and cooking, but I'm not a fan of that. So
yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, so okay, cool. I'm gonna log off. I appreciate your talk. We'll keep in contact. I think your friend requested me, so that's cool. I'll totally add you. And then I appreciate you, hosting and having us on. But I got
go ahead and plug your
people around here doing stuff and needing my attention.
Yeah, that happens. Hey, go ahead and plug your podcast one more time so people can know.
I think she already left.
Oh, all right.
I'm right here. Hold on. It's Pink Cloud 9 on Spotify and Apple iTunes.
All right, cool. You heard it.
Thank you.
All right, bye. All right, Kenneth, it's me and you again.
All right, yeah.
And what's your podcast? Drop it one more time.
It's called Positive Minds Only, and you can find that on Spotify, Apple, Google, Anchor, any major stream except for iHeartRadio. But I'll be on there one day.
All right. So how are you passing the time along over there? And you guys and honestly, when we were talking about the conspiracy thing, you were involved in something that was pretty tragic over there as well. That shooting.
Oh yeah, I wasn't out here when that happened. Like I moved. That happened in 2017.
I can't remember when it happened. I know that my ex knew somebody who got
but
shot.
I moved out here in 2018, the beginning. So a few months after that happened, I moved out here.
Yeah, there's conspiracies around that too.
There's a conspiracy behind everything.
Yeah,
everything. And like I said, I'll go down that rabbit hole on YouTube where I just get caught up in watching the Illuminati videos and stuff. But
yeah, I was actually locked up with in federal prison with a guy by the name of Fritz Springmeier, and he wrote a book called The Bloodlines of the Illuminati.
Wow.
Yeah, and I used to walk around the track with him up in Sheridan, Oregon. That's the facility location where we were at, and he would just tell me about all these crazy stories and like the reason why he was in there. He was supposed to be in there for bank robbery, but I mean the dude was an author. He wrote books. He was I think a professor or college.
He was somebody. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, well, why would he need to rob a bank? And so he was, I guess, getting too close to some stuff, and they like trumped up some charges on him and put him away for a while. And then he was working in because he had transferred in from Arizona, and he was a GED teacher. So in the federal system, if you can't prove that you have your GED or graduated from high school, you automatically get thrown into a GED class. And so he was a teacher there. But whenever he would start, talking about any of the stuff that he was in there for, they would transfer him to another facility and get him away from anybody that he's trying to talk to. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. And I was just listening to him for hours walking around the track. You know,
that would be that. Like, not to say that's dope, but that's dope. Like being able to be in there and then to get those conversations.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I wouldn't want that type of. Like, I'd rather have it over a podcast. You know.
Yeah. Like I've been trying to hook up with him ever since. I've heard him on a couple of other podcasts, other conspiracy ones, but I haven't been able to track him down. So if anybody out there knows Fritz Springmeier, tell him to hit me up. We got some stuff to talk about.
You might manifest that into the universe. See,
like, I believe in all that. I do. I don't. To me, it's not. I don't put. It's the universe. That's what I subscribe to. You know what I mean? Too. I don't, label it as God or the actual religion part of Catholicism or whatever it is, you're practicing out there. And if that's what you do, I mean, good for you. I have nothing against that, to each their own. It just wasn't for me. I couldn't wrap my head around all of that. So the universe, it just, it makes it makes more sense to me. And also, I mean, we're all energy. You know what I mean?
For me, and it's crazy for me, like how you said you couldn't wrap your head around religion. Well, it was a point in time where I was in religion, but then I had more questions. So, I'm like, I started seeing contradicting things in the Bible. So I'm like, this can't be it. Like for me, especially because I'm Black, of course. And I'm like, my ancestors had to read this book. And the only reason they had to read this book because of their oppressors who made them read this book. So if they was given this and saying, hey, this is your savior and this is who can save you is by reading this book. Like, I'm not reading this book. Like, I don't for me, like, I'm not taking this book and believing in it and going by it throughout my life. So that's what my first thoughts was. But I had to realize, like you said, everybody, whatever you do, that's on you. Like, if you believe in that, that's cool. Like, it's good because it may work for you. But like you said, I believe in the universe. Like, I believe in, like, there's a supreme, like, energy. That's what I believe in.
Yeah, that's exactly, I feel the same way. There's been too many things that have happened in my own personal life that couldn't really be explained in any other way other than there's some energies out there that are good and there's some energies out there that are bad. And I've experienced, some of those bad energies, myself. And I didn't realize what it was until after, I started thinking about it. And then I asked somebody, who had, experience with, having ghosts or spirits in their house. And, everything that I was saying that was had happened to me, they're like, oh yeah, dude, you had a bad spirit in your house or wherever you were living, that was not attached to you, but attached to the space.
Yeah. And,
I was, ever since then, I was like, all right, well, there's something to this, it's not just, just, I don't know. I don't really like talking about it because it's scary. You know what I mean? Thinking about the other side.
I have these conversations where I didn't have that growing up. Like, I know it to be true. Like, my wife had that experience as a kid. So I'm like, what you're saying is like, is not going over my head. It's like, I know where you at. Like, I can have empathy for you because I feel like that, like, growing up and nobody's listening and they don't believe it. Like, they don't understand what you're saying. They think it's TV. What they think is TV and what you're saying is the real thing, and they can't comprehend that. But
yeah, it's because it's just something that I think a lot of people just don't want. It's scary, you know what I mean? Because you don't want to you don't want to think of they're like, is there a spirit around me at all times, just like chilling, watching everything I'm doing?
But you gotta think, if something bad around you, then it has to be something good because you here today. Like, there has to be something good. Or was what you thought was bad, was it really bad?
Yeah.
It was real bad.
Oh no. Sorry, I was typing. Somebody is wanting to come in.
Yeah, but yeah, like
Yeah,
like
I don't
I
know.
said,
It's just weird, man. You know what I mean. I just don't want to. I don't want to attract any negative spirits. You know what I mean in my
yeah, I feel
in
you.
my
Like I don't want
space.
to. After this conversation, I don't want to be getting no knocks at my door at 3 a.m.
Yeah, like the girl that I'm talking about who like has like I don't know like is one of these people that can kind of like see them or know that they're around or you know what I mean.
Oh, that's dope.
And I just every time she starts talking about it, I'm like, no, stop, no, I don't want you bringing anything around here.
Oh wow, why do you feel that way though? Like, why do you?
I don't
Why
know,
is it
man.
so? Why is it so hard for you to talk about that? Like,
I have no idea. It's just I don't know. It's just fear of the unknown, I guess.
let's have a breakthrough today. Like, let's get through this today. Like, now I'm interested in like what's going on over here. So, you have something what affected you as a kid. It still affects you to this day, whether you know it consciously or not. But like, it's something that happened to you as a kid that you, like you said, you don't want to talk about it.
I don't know if so much anything happened as a kid. It's just it was a scary situation when you know what I mean. When I thought back on what was happening to me, you know, it's almost like there was somebody sitting on top of me as I'm trying to wake up and electrocuting and electrocuting me as I'm like trying to wake up. So it's like I knew I was awake, but I couldn't open my eyes and I couldn't move.
It was like kind of like the sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
I've been, you know, it's crazy. I've been seeing this meme, the sleep paralysis meme. Like I've never had it happen to me, but I've been seeing it lately. And for you to say, like, that's what you experienced growing up, like, I understand because nobody believed you. Could you really explain what you was going when it was happening? Could you really say what was going on?
I didn't even realize. I just thought it was because of the drugs that I was doing at the time. You know what I mean? So I was partying quite a bit. Well, see here. I think I was. This is late This is late 90s, early 2000s. So another thing that somebody had told me is like usually when you're on drugs, you're opening up.
Yeah. What was it?
It was either GHB or ecstasy or whatever I was selling at the time back then.
Because I have experience with LSD, and before I went on this LSD trip, like you said, the girl can communicate with spirits, or I have that same. Well, I won't say I have that gift, but I just have like different things that happen to me. So I was getting a thing to protect myself before I go on this trip. Because if I go on this trip and I'm not protected, then, like you said, things can attach itself to you, and you can bring something back with you, basically. So even though I went on this trip, like I experienced some crazy, like some ill stuff, and I'm like, wow, I can't even explain what I was going like. And this just happened recently, like, but I was protected when I went on this trip. So it's like you brought like a sleep paralysis.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. And ever since then, I just kind of just sort of shy away. Anybody wants to talk about that, I'm like, I don't want one of them back around.
You got some sage with you? You got some sage? Do you burn sage?
No, I don't burn sage. I mean, I used to burn the other good sage, but I don't really burn that anymore. I got I think chest or lung stuff runs in my family, so I stopped doing all that.
Oh, wow.
But I'll take an edible every now and then, though.
I feel you on that. I love edibles, but edibles do too much for me. Like sometimes I get a little bit too high, then I want to be high. So if I take an edible, it's going to be months or years apart.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely not. It doesn't. It really doesn't bother me. I actually prefer it. I like the high a lot better. Um, and then, but I also I like mushrooms too. So I mean,
I haven't experienced mushrooms yet. I want to, but I heard they're like super nasty. So I'm like, I had an LSD trip that lasted for 8 hours. So I'm like, I'm cool on those trips.
yeah. The last time that I did that, it was God. LSD. The first time I did that was the last time I did it because I had a bad trip, and I wasn't prepared for what I was about to go through for that long a period of time.
How long did it last?
Oh man, it seemed like it was forever. Like, we all went to hang out, and there's like 5 or 6 of us when we first started out. And I actually thought, because I'd done mushrooms before, and you can kind of like party on mushrooms, and you know what I mean. It's kind of cool, and you'd still be able to hook up with somebody, or you know what I mean. And so I was like, all right, cool. I'll do this, and yeah, it didn't turn out that way at all.
That's how my trip was. Like at first, it started cool, and then it took me through a loop. Now I don't know if you experienced a loop, but it was one of my loops was like the things that I kept going through kept repeating over and over and over, and I couldn't get out that loop. And like you said, it lasted a long time, so I didn't know what to expect even the first time that I took it. Like I'd heard of LSD, but I didn't know what was going to happen, how long it would last, and I took a double dose, so I was tripping. So I'm like, I can't. I mean, I can try. I tried it once after that, but I'm like, yeah, I have to do something that's lasts a little bit shorter, and it don't like I don't know, like that experience I did. It tripped me. It made me slow down in life. It made me slow down on my spiritual journey because I was going too fast.
Okay, yeah. I mean, all of these things I've done some other stuff too. Like I don't really so much remember the mushroom one, like I do the LSD one because I didn't really get anything out of it other than the fact that I was like tripping and in a weird space for 6 to 8 hours. But like with mushrooms, it was a little bit different. But I never really took them for the reason that they were all in partying. So I mean, they were fun and cool while I was doing them, but I never really went and tried to dive into the spiritual part of it to where you can like figure some
That's
things
what
out.
I was doing.
Yeah, so you can figure out some things about yourself and why you're doing some of these things, because that the ability to shed your ego when you're in that space, you know what I mean, or under that influence, that's what really helps you to identify some of these underlying issues you have, you know what I mean, in your life.
I had an ego death. Yeah, I definitely had an ego death, and nobody really wants an ego death. Like, it's hard for me to explain. It was like getting disciplined from your parent when you was a kid, like when you did something wrong and you knew you was wrong. And that's how my ego death was. It was because I thought highly of, well, I still do think highly of myself. But that ego death let me know, like, I'm just a human like everybody else. And it taught me a lot more, but like, I didn't expect to have, like, nobody told me what an ego death was. And so to have that and to think about, like, the only reason I was doing that LSD was to have more of a spiritual, like, awakening. But it taught me a lesson. So I'm like, yeah, maybe I do need to try it and take it for a different reason. But the reason I took it for, like, it taught me a lot. That's why I'm like, I won't ever say no to it again. But, like, I'm not too quick to say yes to it as well.
Yeah, I think if like I had never taken it in that way, like I said, so I think I would be curious as to in a controlled setting, taking one of those doses. I was actually even looking into a retreat. They have one in the Bahamas, I think. It's like $1,700, and you get, it's a 3-day thing. Everything's included. You just but you still got to get your airfare there and back. So I mean, all in total, you'll probably be spending about maybe $3,000, $3,500 to go down and do this, and they give you 3 grams. The second, or no, I think they give it to you that night, and then you process all day. Or I don't know. I read the whole deal. That's what I'd be interested in doing, something like that.
That sounds like something that I was looking into called ayahuasca, but that was in Peru.
Oh, okay, so. Yeah, the ayahuasca ones too. I looked into DMT, and because I have a video that it shows you how to make it. I mean, it's not that difficult. There's some process to it, you know what I mean, and a little bit of safety, but like the video that I saw, it didn't seem like it was too difficult to make. And I heard that one's supposed to be a little bit like even trippier. It's faster.
Yeah.
It doesn't last as long, like maybe 15 minutes. And, depending on what you do. So, I mean, if you're doing it from the plant, the root bark extract, that's a little bit different than the toad venom from the skin of one of those frogs, those green and red ones.
Yeah. So, I was definitely like thinking about that as well. But I seen Mike Tyson talk about that. I'm like, do I really want that? I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready, but
yeah, you smoked the toad.
One day, when I get the balls to do it, I'm definitely gonna like try it. Because if I know about something, then I have to do it. Like I can't just settle for just knowing just the outs, like just knowing what it does. Like I have to have that experience for myself.
Well, you know who else is into that was on Rogan's podcast as well was Rashad Evans.
I just seen that one. I seen that one.
Yeah, and that was a really good one too, man. I wasn't expecting all of that to get revealed, but that's cool. I mean, it's true. All these things have a purpose, and I don't know why we've been restricted.
Well, why we've been restricted.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different, theories you could go. I mean, it could be, the pharmaceuticals don't want to have anything to do with that. The paper people, the tree people are one of the first ones that did the one on marijuana, right? The guy, it was, what the hell was his name? Harry Anslinger. And I think the paper, corporations, went and did that Reefer Madness little movie deal and kind of got everybody afraid of it so they could ban it because he didn't just all of the different things that you could. I mean, it's a commodity. You can make so many different products off of it that were. Ain't
it crazy how they could just make a movie about something, throw the propaganda in it, and then like change the world? Like that's crazy to me. But I also wanted to be in that position. Like I do see myself like being in that seat, saying this is what I want the world to see. Instead of what it been looking like for the past 100 years, I want it to look like this. So, like that's why I don't feel no type of way towards them because they're in control. So I'm pretty sure they don't want to give up that control because if someone else had it, what would the world be like?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, so the only way that you can put term limits on these guys is if it's voted on. Well, none of them are going to vote themselves out of office.
Exactly.
I mean, so it's we got. I mean, just even in our what we got going on currently, it's crazy how they use the media to help shape our ideas and views on, let's just say Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders or, the one that they blacked out, Tulsi Gabbard. Those were the last 3 that were in.
But you know how you change the world? It's not through politics, not through my eyes, at least. The way you change the world, from my perspective, is by changing within yourself, becoming a better person. So now that I can get to that level of a Joe Biden, not saying in politics, but just whatever, like Joe Rogan, I can get to that level and have this type of conversation that just expand people's minds more. Like that's all we need to do is open more people's minds. We don't have to force it on them or just like put it in their face, but just having these conversations, like somebody's going to listen to this and be inspired by the things we said, and then they're going to become a better person. So, like, it ain't gonna happen overnight, but one at a time. Eventually, things will change.
I agree with that, but I also think that, you know, the generations that are coming up now are a lot more tolerant, and they're a lot, you know what I mean? I know a lot of kids now, like younger, you know, just first, second, third, fourth grade. I mean, they're all super inclusive. You know what I mean? They don't see they don't see things like, let's just say, like my generation, because there's still, you know, there's racism there. There's like a lot of non-inclusion when I was, you know, growing up, and then even to the millennials. I mean, that was a little bit better, but it just seems like it's just getting better and better going down. So I don't know.
I believe it's getting better because I believe, because I have children, so I'm not teaching them what I've been taught. Because I grew up in Gary, Indiana. That was in the 90s. That's the murder capital of the United States. So what I've experienced, I take that with me. I take that knowledge with me. I take the past. I don't take the past with me, but I take those memories with me. And the way I teach my children is we gonna learn together. Everything that I learn now, my 2-year-old daughter knows this same information. So by the time she gets 18 to 20, everything that I've taught her and what she's learned, like, she's going to be way bigger or way more powerful or way more whatever than I will ever be, because she's started off the right way.
I completely agree with you. There's a meme that was going around for a while, and I just told somebody this earlier, there was a dad and his son, and there was some, you know, things over here and some things over there, but the gist of it is that don't try to give your kids the life that you wish you would have had, you know, being, I want to be rich and I want all these material things. Instead, teach them the things that you wish you would have known instead.
Yep. And I definitely resonate with that same thing. Because you never stop learning, like, no matter how old you get. I mean, some people do because you see it in the way their life turned out. But in my experience through life, like, you never stop learning. So I'm not going to stop learning just because I've graduated high school or college. There's so much more knowledge out there that I can pick up and that I can teach my children. Like, it's only going to seep out. You're going to see it. If you listen to my podcast, this conversation I'm having with you is what I have on my podcast, and I'm usually having it by myself. That's why I seem like I'm long-winded. It's because I don't usually get on people's platform to have these conversations. But yeah,
I was always first time for everything, man.
Yep.
I talk about, like, these types of topics all the time in mine. You know, I have a lot of different people on there, from authors to, I mean, nothing like, nobody huge and no stars or anything like that, but just people I've kind of met through these podcast groups, and you know, we'll put my feelers out looking for you know, or different people to interview. And then sometimes I'll go and seek out people that, like, for like an issue that I'm having, let's just say life coaching. I like to
I'm a life coach.
What is that? Procrastinate and you know, put things off, and you know, it's kind of that can be a debilitating thing if you don't, you know, get it under control. So I would just have somebody on, like a life coach, that would talk to me about their take on it, and you know what I mean. So I'm getting them some exposure, and they're helping me out with something that I'm struggling with.
I'm a life coach.
Yeah, so
that's crazy. And I just did an episode about procrastination.
Yeah, there was another one I did about self-sabotage with this lady had a bunch of PhDs. But yeah, that was a pretty good one. But I mean, you know, the first year that I was doing this, I mean, I just recently started recording again because I went back to my regular job, and trying to work construction and, you know, raise co-parent a kid. You know, there's just a lot of time, and so I just kind of let it, you know, go by the side. I mean, I was still paying for it, and they kept it up and going, but I just kind of wasn't, like, it was on the back burner. And so now, I got this time, I'm jumping back into it. So, and I learned a lot from the last ones that I did as well, is that, some of the things that my interview styles that I was seeing as I was going back through and editing these episodes, I would hear things that I did and like, oh, I don't like that. And
I definitely feel you on that.
And all right, well, I need to work on this. I need to work on that. I don't like the way that I'm asking questions over here, so I need to change this. And even to the, how I'm releasing my episodes now, I'm not even gonna worry about editing all the ums out, because it was taking me like 6 hours damn near just to build an episode, because I do all the all the artwork and everything, through Photoshop. And so, I got a lot of stuff that's already pre-layered, but I still got to build that, and then, make the promo clip, and then, edit out all those ums and unnecessary verbiage, and, go through, like, maybe there's something I said I didn't like. And I was just like, dude, that's just taking way too much time. Why don't you just let it go? And if you say something that somebody doesn't like, well, deal with it,
Yeah, that's how I record. Like, what you say you do, I'm like, whoa, like whoa, because I can't even fathom all that. Like, I just record, add the intro, add the music, and then I'll send it out. I spend more time sending my link to just different people's inbox. Like, that's where I spend most of my time, is networking with people. But as far as like the content, like, I don't edit. It's just straight through. Sometimes I may cut if I don't like something that's said or something, whatever. It's rarely that I do that, but I just put it, and it saves me, it saves me 6 hours basically. But I'm pretty sure your podcast sound way better than my podcast as well. But at the end of the day,
there's no, I don't think there's any better podcast than anybody else. There's, we're all at different stages of this, in our journeys. So, the good thing is that the community itself is pretty, is pretty open. That my experience in these sites, since I've been on them for the last year, most people are pretty helpful. It's not like it's a, like everybody hating on you, because everyone's going through famine fears that there's not going to be enough for everyone. The great thing about podcasts is it's, it's your thing. That's you. You know what I mean? No one else can be you.
And it's like we all on our own different journey through life. Like, we're basically kind of on the same journey as far as our podcast. It's like we all and we do things a certain way. Like, how you do it is just how you do it. Like, and how I do my podcast is just how I do it. Like, it's never about competition, because you have your own destination. I don't know where you're going, so I shouldn't be comparing myself to you or to anybody else, because we all have a different goal or a different mindset or a different journey at the end of the day. But it's cool to be able to have conversations like this with different people, because I would have never expected this if it wasn't this virus going around.
Yeah, it's giving us all an opportunity to reach out and look for different ideas. What I just my thought is that it's difficult to listen to what's going on out there in the media. So, I would much rather hear from people in other parts of the United States, or the world for that matter. And what's your take on it? What's happening over in your area? Do you know anybody personally that's infected?
I don't know anybody that's infected. Everything, like I said, everything is still operating normally. Things are closing earlier, but I guess that's just because everybody's buying everything out. But everything is pretty normal for me. I don't do anything different since this has been going on. Like, literally, my life has not changed, not one bit. And I don't see it because I don't really go outside to go. I go to the grocery store and back. Like, I operate out of my home as far as my business, as far as the podcast. I do everything at home. So.
Well, that's cool. I'm pretty much the same way. I think the one thing that I do is I go to My ex is able to work from home, but having my daughter there to try to save some money, not taking her to the babysitter. I'm going over there during the day since I'm not working, and keeping her occupied so she can work still. How kids are; they're 3-year-old toddlers.
Yeah, I have like I said, I got a 2-year-old daughter.
They make it a little bit difficult. So I mean, if I can help out in that way, that's cool. But I'm not really like trying to hang out with anybody. Like there was I think a friend wanted to hang out, and I just I don't want anybody like getting shamed for bringing people around in the neighborhood.
Yeah. You don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, we got it, and it's all because of you. You couldn't follow the mandatory, guidelines.
I was in the military, so I know how to follow instructions. So, like I said, ain't nothing different for me. And I'm chilling over here, especially in Vegas is the best place to be. Well, they closed the strip, but I rarely go to the strip. That's what they have. They have closed the casinos. But I'm not someone who gambles, so that didn't affect me.
Yeah, I used to live in Vegas actually. When I got arrested, that's where it happened at, and I was living there for like 6 years, and ended up I've lived all over the place over there, from Somerville to Green Valley to
Henderson.
No, not Henderson. I didn't get all the way to Henderson, but I've been up on the east side, like as you're going to off. I think Decatur goes off. Is that the one that goes through and goes to Lake Mead, or is it? No, it's actually Lake Mead.
Yeah,
Lake Mead. I used to live off there, all the way at the top there. So I ended up doing my state time in Vegas, and then I got paroled out to the Fed, so I finished up in Sheridan, Oregon.
Oh, I've always wanted to move to Oregon. That's kind of ironic, right?
Yeah, well, it was. I mean, I didn't spend a whole lot of time in the area there. I mean, I lived there for like 18 months, but it's not like I was going out anywhere. I mean,
for me, I like the rain. That's it. Like, and then the weed.
Okay,
there's a lot of land. Yeah.
Well, it was super. It was always foggy up there, man. Because Sheridan, I think, is kind of by the coast, so there'd be days where it'd just be socked in, and they wouldn't let you out of your go anywhere other than your units because they couldn't. You know what I mean? You couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
That's all I really remember about that place. But I mean, I know there were like 2 months. 2 months out of the whole time I was there, it was sunny and nice, like it's down in California all the time.
So, how much have you changed since you've been back home?
I changed quite a bit, actually. I mean, as far as like this happened in, I got paroled out in 2006. Did a couple of violations. Was still addicted to meth up until like 2010. In 2010, everything kind of changed, and I was still. Luckily, I didn't get kicked out of the union, and the apprenticeship program that I was in. I was able to salvage that, and then from that point on, I just kind of realized that hey, look, something's got to change. It's got to start with you. You can't keep living your life like this, and you're 30 some odd years old, and everybody that you went to high school with is so much further along than you are now, and you're going to be lucky if you even can.
So you had to have that conversation with yourself.
Yeah, and so
I definitely agree.
And then from that point on, I went from walking out of that place with just the clothes on my back and a bag of legal mail to where I was making a six-figure income now. But I mean, in California, that's really not saying a whole lot.
I mean, well, it's a whole lot of people who ain't even touching 5. So
yeah, so I mean, I was able to pull all that together. Plus, as part of the.
That's amazing, bro. Like, because it's a lot of my mom. Not to put her business, and she probably never hit this podcast, but she's experienced your lifestyle, the life that you live. Like, she's been addicted to drugs. She was actually in prison in Las Vegas. Can't remember the time, but it's probably a few years after you. Yeah, I remember it was probably like 2009, 10. She was in Las Vegas. So
Yeah, that was I went
she's
in 2000. I think I got arrested in 2004, May of 2004, and then I got out in 2006 sometime. So it was like just about 3 years.
but y'all was out here at the same time doing the same thing, and just to see where you've come from now, I can say, Mom, like no matter what you say, you can always like take it to another notch. And not to say she's doing well for herself, but just to have a conversation with someone who, like you said, you making six figures, and there's a lot of people, no matter what state they live in, they don't see that. They will never see six figures. So like it's a big accomplishment for you, like whether it's small in your eyes or on your journey, but still like it's major. And I definitely respect that.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I just, my whole goal with this was to, I mean, it's based on my own struggle, my own journey. I'm
Mine's
pretty,
too.
I'm pretty, I don't hold a whole lot back, about things that I've done. Of course, I don't just, talk about anything that I hadn't been arrested for, but I mean, like, just as like character defects, anger issues, stuff that, I struggle with, and, how I go about trying to be a better person. And then, talk to other people, that are kind of like, I mean, I guess you could say like-minded, but I mean, I think at the end of the day, we're all just here trying to do the same thing. Just some of us have figured out how to do it better than others, and some people just, unfortunately don't ever figure it out that, hey, you're not, we're not here to continue being who we are. We're here to continue being who we know we should be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're supposed to continue to evolve. Like no matter what, you're supposed to always evolve or transcend to the person that you always want to be. Like for me, like when I have goals, like when I have these $1 million dream or the American dream goals, like I can't accomplish that being this person that I am now, because if I could, I would have been that person. So I have to become that person who can have $1 million in the bank account. I have to become that person who can handle whatever it is that I'm asking for. So on my journey, like you said, we all on the same journey looking for the same, like just it's basically looking for the same thing at the end of the day: love, happiness, peace, joy. But we're just doing it in a different way. And no matter where it is or no matter who it is, like I respect, I just respect people like you, like my mom, like the lady, Miss Katherine, who came on, like people just being honest. If you can be honest, that's all that matters. When you can be transparent about whatever you went through, that's exactly what my podcast is about. It's about my personal journey, whatever I'm going through to get to my success. And I'm letting people know, hey, this is what you're going to have to go through when you're on this journey. Like when you start to want more for yourself, when you start to want more out of life, you're going to go through stuff. You're going to go through different things. And you're going to realize that you've been repeating the same cycles over and over. You've been repeating the same thing over and over. So definitely.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be willing to take a look at yourself and your part in whatever it is that you did. I mean, I've come from nothing 3 times. Like I've literally lost everything 3 times, and it was all based on how I was living, how I treated somebody, how and I mean, really nobody. When I really stopped and dissected it, it was like, dude, the reason why you are where you're at is doesn't have nothing to do with yourself. I'm like, you're in this battle, for like the last 15 years with yourself, because you're the one that's holding you back. You're the one that's keeping you from doing the things that you should be doing to progress in life and as a person and as, you know what I mean? But I had chosen to go down this other road, which was a lot of darkness, a lot of, false sense of everything, because that life isn't real. I mean, it's real at the time, but I mean, it can be taken away from you at any moment. So, I mean, there's when you're doing illegal stuff, there's really, you know what I mean? You're living on borrowed time. You're living on borrowed time, honestly. And so,
Do you believe in reincarnation? Do you believe in past lives?
I haven't really dove too far into, what happens after, we move on. I know that our energy goes somewhere. I mean, where does consciousness go? Because that's really what we are, you know what I mean? It's our consciousness,
Yeah.
So I haven't dove too far into that and the afterlife, and there's funny things that have happened in my life which are unexplainable, and I do believe that our spirit goes somewhere, you know what I mean, and whether it's people get trapped here, sometimes they don't want to move on. I don't know.
It definitely is. Well, I'm just speaking from my perspective of what I know. I know of reincarnation. Like, I remember my past lives, so I know like the things that we go through in this life has something to do with what we went through in our last life, because we have things like karma. We have to complete our karma. So basically, if I was a bad person in my past life, I'm gonna go through a bunch of shit to repay my debt in this life. And especially a person like you know who you are now. A lot of people don't get it. They stay stuck in those cycles. You was one of the people who was able to go through what you went through, and then to evolve from that. You was able to grow from that, and now you're able to help other people who went through the exact same thing that you went through. But it definitely it has to do with some of the things that happened in your past life. Like I said, my mom has the same thing. So I know her, who she was, and I know what she went through. So I'm like, yep, I know why you went through what you went through. But it didn't hold you back.
Yeah, it only took 15 years to shake it out. But it was. I don't know, man. Are there things that I would change? Yeah, probably. I had a daughter out there. She actually lives in Vegas still. But I hadn't seen her since she's 18 months old, and then the mom took me to court to get my rights terminated, and this is right around the time just before I got busted and went to prison. But I just kind of I guess I just did, fuck it, I didn't show up to court and didn't try to fight for her. I just, in my own mind, I had already, was like, well, she'll be better off with her anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you made the best decision that you could have made at that time.
And so I have a 20-year-old daughter, and I've had contact with her. It's I don't know, man. I don't know how to explain it. It's my daughter, but I feel like it's a stranger. You know what I mean? Even though I had
all that time, but as long as you both are alive, like, it's never too late. Like, that's what I've learned, because my mom wasn't in my life. Like the same case with you and your daughter, my mom, we got taken away from her in 1993. I was only 3 years old at the time, so I was raised by my grandmother. And my mom would never come around, because every time she would come around or talk on the phone, like, my grandma and my great grandma was talking down on her. So our relationship was always strained. But once I got older, once I heard her side of the story, like, then we was able to have that relationship that we didn't have growing up.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, it was. It's still, I may go down to Vegas this year for something with the union, depending on, where we're at in August. That's usually the time that they do these trips. So if I'll hit her up when I'm down there, and we'll see what's going on.
I wouldn't even wait, to be honest. Like, I would call my daughter just to have a conversation, because August may never get here. At the end of the day, we never know what's going to happen. And as long as you're alive, like, y'all both got, because that's your daughter, that's your seed. Like, you love her like no man, and you will always want to protect her, right? At the end of the day, you want to protect her.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't want anything bad to happen to her.
So,
But I mean, there's just no. I mean, there's like no other than the fact that I know that she's my daughter, and you know what I mean. I just been kind of like leaving it in her court because she's the one that's got the.
you know what you said earlier about the procrastination?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think.
Yeah, but that's a touchy one, man. You know what I mean? It's like I don't want to try and push in there like.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's like, okay, now after all these motherfucking years, motherfucker, now you want to be my dad?
Yeah, I definitely understand.
So I'm like trying to like not, you know what I mean, push too hard.
Yeah, that and my mom goes through that with my other siblings. So, like I said, I definitely understand. But like I said, I was only speaking from my perspective and how I treated my mom. Like, because I had to understand, like, she has her own journey. Like, I can't get mad at her from the decision she made. Like, when she don't know, like, she didn't know who she is. She still doesn't know who she is. So I can't get mad at a child who doesn't know who they are and they don't know why the things that they went through, why they went through. They think life just happened and it didn't. Everything happens for a reason.
Oh, yep, you're absolutely right. And so we'll see how it shakes out. Well, I just I drop her a line on Instagram every now and then. So, all right, man. You know what? We're at an hour and 6, brother.
Oh, I ain't even realized it went that long.
Right. Yeah, that's yeah, that's usually how long mine go. So what I'm gonna do is I'll probably throw this up here pretty soon. And, just kind of like, just a bonus episode. Hey, look, there's some people,
for sure.
Here was a experiment. Let's see if I can get it going again, throughout this coronavirus time.
Yeah, it was dope. It was a dope experiment, at least on my behalf. So I definitely had a great experience.
All right, brother. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you reaching out, and hey, good luck out there. Hopefully, you guys don't end up on lockdown anytime soon, like the rest of us. But keep washing your hands, man, and take it seriously. Because I
definitely will.
Even though I think it, whatever I may think about it, I mean, it could be what it is, and I don't want to be the one that's spreading it around to everyone else.
Yeah, I feel you.
So, all right, man.
But all right, have a great one.
All right, you too, brother. Bye.